All right, Nick, let's talk about the Green Bay Packers. This is a team that we hold in pretty high regard, mainly because number 12 behind the ball, Aaron Rodgers, has been doing it really good for a really long time. But he made some comments this week that we want to dive a little bit further into. And I know you have the story on this one. But Packers fans, we got to know in the comment below, this was a hard fought battle against, a shifty, unconventional Bailey's Happy led Patriots attack. You really weren't expecting this. It came out of nowhere, but they hung on and the Packers got it done. So let us know, who was your MVP of the game? Who stood out to you this season so far? Let us know in the comments below. We're anxious to see what you got to say. But Nick, what was Rodgers saying about their performance so far?
Yeah, so this is according to NFL.com. Like you mentioned, the Green Bay Packers eked out a 27-24 overtime victory over the New England Patriots at Lambeau Field on Sunday, but quarterback Aaron Rodgers knows he needs to play better. Rodgers said, quote, "This way of winning, I don't think is sustainable because it's too much. It puts too much pressure on our defense." Rodgers said after the game, quote, "And obviously I got to play better and we will play better." Rodgers had a woeful first half, obviously earning an 11.2 passer rating, completing 4 of 11 for 44 yards in the pick six. Rodgers went on to say, quote, "He missed a throw so badly on the pick six that Patriots cornerback Jack Jones actually had to come back to make the play." Rodgers said, "If I had thrown the ball where I was supposed to do, he probably picks it in stride." So again, Rodgers obviously making a little fun of himself there, how terrible he was. He missed his throw so bad on the pick six that it actually made it harder for the Patriot defender to return it for a touchdown. And what I like here from Aaron Rodgers and really the statements he's making there, because it's clear looking at the Packers roster with that defense, with that running game, that offensive line, they are really good. They're really great everywhere. This is a championship team ready to win now. But Aaron Rodgers knows this, right? This is kind of a little different than a few years ago when he spelled out relax after a slow start, saying, listen, at the time they had the weapons, they had the playmakers. Rodgers knew what he could do offensively. He knew they would turn around. But the time for relaxing is gone for the Packers because he understands that they need to get better at executing offensively and frankly on special teams too. If I'm a Packers fan, that's the most concerning thing with the returns the Patriots had to kind of keep them in the game. But look, you look at Romeo Doubs. He obviously dropped the essential game-winning touchdown pass. It wasn't knocked out of his hands. And in my opinion, that's a clear drop. Rodgers is putting the onus on him here, but he's also, delving out loud to the rest of the offensive players, namely the receivers, saying, listen, we've got to step up and we've got to perform a lot better because we saw this last year with the Packers, right? They eked out some close wins that they really got outplayed in some ways. They barely beat the Ravens, but the Ravens were deeply injured. And of course, Huntley was playing quarterback. They barely beat the Browns. Baker Mayfield had to essentially throw the game away for them to win them. And then, of course, in the playoffs, they lose that heartbreaker to San Francisco because they just can't get it done offensively. Aaron Rodgers recognizes that sense of urgency. He wants to put on himself and his guys, his receivers around him, saying, listen, we got to step up and we got to play better.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. Because, like you alluded to, the Packers can't get it done forever with running game and tough defense. Obviously, this is championship caliber defense, and this is a really great rushing attack that they have as well with Jones and Dillon. But like he said, it's time for the receivers to. This is going into, what is it now? Like week 5? Going into week 5? The receivers cannot be making mental mistakes now. They've got to be warmed up. They're in here. Dobbs has been starting. Watson's been starting. They've both made plays. They got to start gelling. Obviously, Cobb, he's been looking pretty decent as well, especially being a little bit older. So, I think Randall Cobb might have a bigger part in this offense than going forward than we might think he would. But Lazard has done pretty well, but he's been battling injury back and forth. So the young guy's got to step up, and he's got to be able to rely on the passing game more. Rodgers knows this. Everybody knows this. If this is a Green Bay that does not have a lethal passing attack, this isn't a team that's set up to go far in the playoffs. You have to be two-dimensional. You cannot be one-dimensional. It can't be defense and run the ball. You got to have a good passing game, and we've seen this time and time again.
Yeah, you look at who won the Super Bowl last year. Obviously, the Rams, the Cooper Kupp, right? You have that dynamic big play offense with Kupp running the show, but you also had Beckham on the other side as well. Look who joined them in the Super Bowl. You had Jamar Chase on the Bengals pairing him with T. Higgins. You go back to the years before with Kansas City Chiefs going a couple times in a row with Tyreek Hill. The Bucks with Brady obviously made a run. They had plenty of weapons. So it's very clear, like you alluded to, that to win in today's NFL, you need big time playmakers. And the Packers have the potential for those guys. They just need to focus up a little bit. You can't have Watson on the first play of the season against the Minnesota Vikings dropping a 75-yard touchdown. That just doesn't, you don't get those many chances in the NFL. You need to capitalize on them. You can't have Romeo Doubs dropping essentially the game-winning touchdown pass. You can't have him fumbling the football early in the game. Those are kind of the things that you have to take care of for the Green Bay Packers. And that's one of the question marks coming into the season. They're obviously going to rely heavy on Dobbs and Watson. Were these guys going to be able to step up and fill that role? And both have shown flashes. I really love Watson in kind of the speed sweep role, and Dobbs has proven himself to be a very effective receiver. So they've proven themselves that they can make plays, but they have to be more consistent. And Rodgers knows that because he understands, like you brought up there, that when you play good teams late in the playoffs, you have to have multiple ways to beat them. You know, you have to be able to run the football, you have to be able to get after the passer, you have to be able to protect your quarterback, but you also have the ability to throw the football down the field and at least threaten an opposing defense. And right now, that's one of the things that's missing from the Green Bay Packers, I feel like, because the Patriots basically played straight up man across the board most of the entire day and dared Aaron Rodgers to beat him down the field. A couple times he was able to do that. But the fact of the matter remains, this Packers offense has to consistently make those big plays because otherwise it's going to be tougher for them late in the year. And that's why I love Rodgers calling him out here and saying, listen, we all got to play better. I got to play better because later in the season, I'm not too worried about the New York Giants coming up right around the block. But later in the season, it's really going to start to matter, especially when we look at a really, really good Minnesota Vikings team that's 3-1. They look like they're going to be a competitive force in this division. So I really think this is a good message by Aaron Rodgers and the Green Bay Packers, knowing that they have to kind of play a lot better. They can't be eking out these close wins. They have to play much more fundamentally sound on the offensive side of the ball.